The first is this: a friend is fruitful. Here's what Genesis says, the book of beginnings, about the first relationship. Genesis 1:26, God says, he gives a vision statement. He gives a mission statement. He gives a goal to Adam and Eve, our first parents. And here's what he says in Genesis 1:26, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. Now, typically when we read this verse, we think be fruitful. That means go make some babies. Okay, but that's actually not what that verse means. I don't believe. I think it's an aspect, but I don't think that's the most important part, because I know a lot of amazing couples who have incredible marriages and they're very fruitful, yet they don't have any kids. They don't have any kids due to seasons of life, maybe miscarriages, maybe infertility. And so if that's what that means, then there would be a lot of godly people who have ungodly marriages because they can't be fruitful. Here's what I actually think it means. I think it means culture making. See, that's what the theological term for this verse is. It's the cultural mandate. It's cultural making. It is vision casting. It is legacy leaving. It's talking about building a life and a future together. Here's what you need to know: that you want to have a shared vision for your future. Me and Ashley, we have a shared vision. Because without a shared vision for your marriage, there will be division in your marriage. Me and Ashley, we have a shared vision. We share our hopes, our dreams, our wants, our fears, our goals, and our aspirations. We have the same vision. Our vision is to plant churches. Our vision is Redemption Church, to see a gospel-centered movement in the heart of the city where every man, woman, and child can experience life change through Jesus. That is our vision. We have a shared vision for our marriage. Do you have a shared vision, a goal, a direction, a destination that you two are wanting to travel and journey along the way? Because when you have a shared vision for the marriage, then you're going to be moving forward and going and growing. But if there is not a shared vision, guess what you have? You have division. Do you know what division is? Division literally is two visions. Okay, and so what it means is one's going this way and the other's going this way. You do your life, I'll do my life. You do what you want, I'll do what I want. This is where I'm going, this is where I'm going. And now when you're dating or even as newlyweds, it doesn't seem like that really big of a deal, because the distance between you is just very, very, very minimal. But as time goes, you begin to grow more and more distant from one another because you're living totally separate, opposite, different lives. You don't have a shared vision. Eventually, you're going to end up with division. This is why so many couples become so distant from one another, because they don't have a shared vision. What is it that you want to do with your life? And then share that with your spouse. Say, this is where I hope, this is where I'm praying, this is where I'm going, this is where God's leading me, where's God leading you? And oftentimes when you develop that shared vision, you'll see that you're able to do those things together. Me and Ashley, we had this conversation right before we got married. And people ask me all the time, they say, Pastor Byron, how did you get Ashley to want to be a pastor's wife? I said, I didn't have to get Ashley to want to be a pastor's wife. God did that for me. Because when God called me into ministry, God called her into ministry too. Now, our ministry looks different, but we're both in ministry together because we have a shared vision. People ask me, they say, Pastor Byron, how do you get Ashley to stay at home with the kids? That's just so unheard of today. How did you do that? I said, do you really want to know? Do you really want to know how I got Ashley to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of the kids? They're like, yeah. I said, we arm wrestled for it. Like, really? It's like, yeah, and she's tiny. I could take her. It was really easy. It was just like 1, 2, 3, boom, ha, you're pregnant, go home. No, that's not what we did. Before we got married, she shared her dreams with me. She said, this is what I want out of life. I want to be a mom. I want to have a big family, and I want to stay home, be able to take care of the kids, and I would love to be able to do ministry with her. We had a shared vision, because if not, guess what there would have been? There would have been a whole lot of division in our marriage. So for you married couples, what do you feel like God's calling you to do? And then do those things together. Have a shared vision. What would it have been like if Adam was like, hey, I want to be fruitful. And Eve's like, nah, I don't really feel very fruity today. What would it have been like if Eve was like, I want to multiply? And Adam's like, I ain't that good at math. I can't multiply. What would it have been like if they're like, we're going to fill the earth? And they're like, you fill it over there and I fill it over here. And they were like, well, there's division in the marriage because there was no united vision for the marriage. This is so important for those of you who are single, especially, to have this conversation before you get married. Of course, after you get married, some things are going to change, so you have to keep connecting and reconnecting with that. But have this conversation before. Do you share the same vision? Do you share the same goals and values with one another? Because if you don't, there might be division. Just for an example, okay, November is an election season. I don't know if you knew that or not, but November is an election. If you don't have conversations about important things, November is going to be really awkward when their old white guy beats your old white guy. And then everybody's jumping up and down, and you're sitting there with your hand in your head, and you're like, oh my God, there's a riot in my house. And it's not the laughing, ha ha ha, that's hysterical riot. No, somebody might burn that thing down. You need to have a conversation about the important matters of life. Things like politics, things like child raising, things like theology. Have these conversations because, just as a point, right? If you're charismatic and they're cessationists, you're the charismatic girl and you love speaking in tongues, and they're the cessationists who believe that it's demonic, well, family dinner is going to be really weird for you because, she's going to be speaking in tongues and he's going to be casting out the demon and the kids are running around crazy and you have to pay for their therapy. It's not going to go good for you. Have a conversation about some of these important things. Another one would be if you're a complementarian, if you believe that, men are the spiritual leader of the home, as Jesus is the head of the church, the husband is to be the head of the wife, humbly, sacrificially laying his life down for the good of his family, and she's egalitarian, wants to hyphenate the last name, there's going to be trouble. There's going to be trouble because you don't agree on foundational vision issues. If she wants 17 kids, right, and you want to live at your mom's house, there's going to be double trouble. A lot of trouble going on with that because you don't have a shared vision for your future. That's what fruitful is. That you find somebody who you can do life, journey through life, share a vision together with them because God wants you to accomplish great things with your life. And you want to find somebody where you can accomplish those things together.